Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Monday, November 15th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to make good decisions, this will be a video for you. And then real quick before I get started, I do want to personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering next week. So if you're liking what you see and you want to learn more about this tool and how it can be used to build consistency as a trader, then definitely get signed up. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, then somewhere right on the webpage there's an arrow that you can click on. So just keep that in the back of your mind. And if you're liking what you see, then definitely get signed up for the free class. Now, before I get into the actual stocks, a couple quick little just clarification points. First off, I will be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks, as they're called in case you're new to charts, represents 30 minutes worth of time. And then next, the market is still going to be open for a little bit. So that candle on all the charts will be moving around. And I just like to do this just because I think it's kind of fun to sometimes catch some really interesting action live as it's playing out. But because the market is close enough to being, done already for the day and for the week, I feel confident in talking about, these general levels. But first one here, SNDL, and what an absolutely monster move. Been tracking this one already, and it's kind of silly to think that at one point I was talking about these red lines as resistance because now the price is, clearly so far up above them. But like I said, last time I did the video, those were actually relevant to the chart, but no longer. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those. So let's talk about some of the newest levels to pay attention to going into next week. First level here from a support standpoint, going to be right down here at the 80-cent mark. And there's nothing fancy here other than the fact that that's where the pullback finally stopped. I mean, this was a pretty big pullback actually, but 80 cents is where enough buyers finally showed up. And not only did they show up to support the price, but it, ultimately turned into a very nice bounce location as the price is now headed up very, very nicely. From more of the overarching standpoint, so if you're somebody that just cares about more so the broad scope of things, watch that purple line there, the 50-period moving average. As the name implies, that line is going to move higher and higher. So as long as the price stays above that line, as the line itself moves higher and higher, then the overall trend belongs fully in the bull's favor. In terms of levels of resistance, nothing fancy or complicated here, just a question of where did the party and momentum finally stop today, and that was right up there at the 96-cent mark during that opening 30 minutes. So keep an eye on that, and a bunch of people will be watching 96 cents as that key breakout point moving forward, and when a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want. It can certainly produce some, big dynamic movements, and that's where 96 cents comes into play. But overall, what a great way to end the week. Next one, MRAM. Beautiful looking chart and nice pattern here. Just like SNDL, volume really came into motion here. And, definitely I think a lot of eyeballs will be watching this one here moving forward. And really a couple of, interesting levels to watch in it. The pattern played out almost, perfectly symmetrical. So we have that resistance trend line right there, but let me do this also and duplicate that and then bring that line down here. And you can see that we have you saw me copy and paste a very nice upwards channel here. So let me actually change that to green to represent more so the bullish support part of the pattern. But like I said, the interesting part is that the market hasn't quite closed yet, and the price is, knocking on the door of that lower support area. So really the question becomes, when you're watching this video, the market will be closed. So you'll know, does this area hold or doesn't it? Now, if it does drop slightly below it, not a big deal. But, who knows? If there's some sort of nasty break to the downside, maybe that's the leading indicator headed into next week that something's not quite right. But as you can see here, as I talk, that candle is still continuing to move. And to be fair, as of now, the price is maintained above that channel. But that'll be the first question you'll want to ask yourself is, okay, did the price ultimately close within this, upwards channel? And if it did, well, that just still means that this upwards channel is completely valid. And then if the price does make a bounce to the upside, obviously it's going to be all about that resistance trend line right there, which has now rejected the price down a couple of times. But overall, to really summarize this in the easiest fashion, it would just be a nice little upwards channel here. And the question becomes, can the price maintain above the bottom part of it? And if so, then it'll be interesting to see what next week has to offer. Next one, AMC. Very nice day here. Now, maybe it didn't feel like a nice day, but when you look at the past days, it's just been a good combination of several days in the sense of at least the price just continues to chop sideways. So was it a great day in the form of, the price exploding upwards? Of course not. But, my point here is it could have, started off with this pullback here this morning and just continue to pull back and pull back and pull back. But that's not what happened. In fact, the exact opposite happened. It leveled off and then started to work its way back upwards. So that's why I say overall, good solid day. And now it's entering a very interesting location. And I'm quite confident that a whole lot of people have drawn that trend line because that's just a very straightforward trend line. And going back to the whole topic of self-fulfilling prophecy, that's what we have here again. So you know that there's all sorts of people watching that level, and while nothing is guaranteed, it is plausible and rational to think that if the price gets up to that area and can break up through it, that the break of that trend line right there could very well create quite a bit of upwards buying pressure. So from a resistance side of things, that level, which, let's call it right around $40.50, give or take a little bit, is going to be that main area of resistance based on that trend line there. And then if the price does pull back at all, you have all sorts of supports down below it. The main ones being that 50-period moving average right there at 39.65. You have the pink line there, which is the 200-period moving average, and then you have that level down. In fact, no, I'm not even. The price is so far away from that, I'm just going to delete that out now. That's not really that relevant. So just keep an eye on the moving averages as the main areas of support. But all in all, like I said, all eyes on that trend line. So let's see if the price can get the push through it or not. Next one, TLRY. Very nice movement here. And what I like about this is how it pulled back. So gave, prop takers a chance to get out, consolidated, and now has spent the afternoon working back upwards. But it still hasn't broken out, which is important because if you're a breakout player, well, then, you want to try to look at things before they break out, obviously, and that's what we have here. So like I said, just from a storybook perspective, great stuff. Big sign of strength, taking a breath, showing signs of life again. So now the next question is this sign of life enough to have genuine power to push up through that $13 mark? That'll be the main dynamic moving forward. But once again, and kind of this is the underlying theme here, I assure you a bunch of people are watching that $13 mark. So self-fulfilling prophecy or not, it's more than rational to think that if the price can work its way up to that area and get the break up through it, then that could create quite a bit of momentum and buying pressure. In terms of support levels, just watch that purple line there, 50-period moving average, as I've talked about before. As long as the price stays above that level, then yeah, the bulls are still in full ownership of the trend. But you got to like this setup. A big move, took a breath, showing signs of strength. Now let's see if it can get the breakout. Next one, PLTR, and I've done this one several times this week, but want to just end the week on it too. And it should be very fast because there's not a whole lot of things to say other than the fact of the levels that I've talked about in the past are still very, very relevant. Namely, this area of resistance up there, which is the top part of this sideways channel that I drew out previously, around $23.10. You can see that once again this morning, presented a problem. Back there, presented a problem on Thursday morning. So I'm not saying that level can't be broken, just saying that, we have a whole lot of confirmation that for whatever reason, 2310 has become a very, very stubborn level and is now the top part of this channel here. And then on the flip side of things, nothing new to report. Still have that area of support down around 2215. And, the price, I guess, kind of got close to it right there, but I mean, not really. But like I said, it's a positive that the price is staying above there. But at the end of the day, ultimately, all that's doing is, the price still continues to chop back and forth within the sideways channel. So that'll be the big question mark going into next week. Who's ultimately going to win out? Are the bulls going to win with a breakout to the upside? Or are the bears going to win with the, break to the downside? That is the main question. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, and I just put this one right next to PLTR because same exact premise, so this will allow me to not have to repeat myself because we just talked about it. But overall, nothing has changed as far as just like PLTR. Tesla right now just in this big sideways range. Now, if you like to trade ranges, well then, yeah, this is like a magical wonderland for you. But as far as just the overall chart is concerned, nothing has changed. Yeah, sure, it went down a little bit today, but relative to the overall sideways pattern, it is what it is. So the price is still down below that top of the channel resistance up there, right around the 1105 mark, and then the key level of support down there at the $1,000 mark is still holding strong. So overall, I mean, Tesla is still obviously being talked about a whole lot out there, but if Elon keeps on selling, it seems like the market is doing a good job of just absorbing the shares right in the sideways channel. So we'll see if this is ultimately an absorption pattern, meaning it absorbs all the shares and this thing can get moving to the upside. And I think a lot of people are wondering and watching for that next week. So yeah, let's see what happens with it. Next one, WNW, and this is one where, yeah, the chart's looking very ugly, but sometimes there can be some great opportunity in ugly, and it's an interesting price range. So this is really just a play of, do you think that this is a fake pullback? Now, the reason why it could be fake is when you look at the volume, it is a very, very low volume pullback. Now, to be fair, maybe this isn't a pullback. Maybe this is the start of a move where it's going right back to where it started. But hey, that's why risk management, that's why risk control exists. However, if this is just some sort of little healthy pullback, and that could present a very interesting opportunity if this thing all of a sudden turns around and snaps back upwards. And if you have enough experience, I'm sure you've seen these sub-ton dollar stocks where a stock looks like it's game over, and then you look back and you're like, wait, what just happened? Now look, how did that happen? So will that happen here? I don't know, but it does have a kind of a classic setup, big move up, low volume pullback. So let's see if that leads to anything or not next week. And the level that I think a lot of people will be watching is that gap close location where it actually already bounced off once, right down there around $4.10. If you're looking to play more of some sort of breakout area, then the level that stands out right there around, give or take, $5 mark. But overall, like I said, that's really the main dynamic here is, yeah, it's pulled back. Yeah, things are looking pretty ugly right now, but maybe this is just a little healthy pullback and this thing decides to get another sign of life next week. So keep an eye on it. Next one here, NUZE did this analysis yesterday on Thursday, and now, like the other stocks I've talked about, not a lot to report other than the fact of we have confirmation, which makes this that much bigger of what I'd call a self-fulfilling prophecy level. And that has to do with this red line that I drew in yesterday. And check it out, opening 30 minutes. Sure, the price didn't hit it exactly, but I think we can all agree it got very, very close before getting rejected back down. However, the important part about the rejection is it's not like it was a rejection and crash. Crash being defined as coming down to that green line and then, breaking down through it. Didn't happen at all. Came down here and then basically went sideways right where it did, back on Thursday also. So the point here being is that the pattern is still in play, and you're just going to have that many more people now watching that trend line right there. And the more people that are watching a certain level, the more plausible it becomes that if the price breaks above it, you could have some good upwards momentum. But like I said, and this pattern remains in play as long as the price continues to stay above 450, which is the main reason why I'm doing it. Because, yeah, that was a pretty nasty rejection, but didn't crash. It went down there, went sideways again. So pattern is still in play, and let's see if the price can make another go at that trend line sometime next week. Next one, BTB. Great looking pattern and a great looking trend, and really the easiest way to see the trend is just to look at that purple line there, the 50-period moving average. Very nice upward slope to it. Then you look at the pink line down there, the 200-period moving average, nice upward slope to it. Or I suppose, maybe you don't even need to look at moving averages. You could just sit there and notice the fact that, yeah, over time, these lows just keep getting higher and higher. So the moral of the story is, from a broad context point of view, the price is in a very nice uptrend. But now let's look at things from more of a near-term context. We have ourselves just a classic, great-looking pattern here. So the bottom part of this pattern is the area of support right there at $2.50. Again, let me actually change that to green to represent more of the bullish dynamic of the pattern. And then as far as levels of resistance are concerned within the pattern, you have that level right around there. You could move it up there. But that probably does make a little bit more sense. And then just to keep this all the same color, to make this easier to see, we have our resistance right there. We have our support right there. We have the momentum move right there. And then if I were to put a little golf hole down here to make it more visual, this would be called a pennant pattern, more specifically a bull pennant pattern. And again, when you have a bull pennant pattern occurring in a nice overall bullish context, does that guarantee that it'll keep going up? No such thing as a guarantee. But is it at least is it at least a logical thought process to have? Absolutely, and that's why charts are a powerful tool, because they're helping to make good, valid decisions. In a bullish pattern, in a bullish trend, you got to think that the odds are in your favor that it could work out. But again, no guarantees. So as always, risk management matters. But yeah, you got to like this pattern, got to like the trend. So let's see if this trend can continue to build upon itself next week. Next one here, PSFE. And what I really like about this is the fact that it got absolutely destroyed. Huge gap down on Thursday. That opening 30 minutes on Thursday just continued to bleed and bleed and bleed. But then after that, look what happened. Just went sideways. So at that point, it became a question of, hey, is this some sort of bottom forming? And today we got more, I don't want to say guarantees, because of course that doesn't, but we got more, plausibility that, yeah, maybe this is the bottom, because now look, there's a nice little uptrending trend line in place. So, and once more, let me get that changed to green. So does it become more plausible now to think that, yeah, this is indeed some sort of bottom that's forming? Yeah, for sure. Now, there's still work that needs to be done, but the first and most important bit of work is you're going to want to continue to see the price stay above that trend line right there. But as long as the price stays above that trend line, then it does make sense. There is credibility in thinking that, okay, maybe this thing is getting ready to make some sort of snapback or bigger move, or who knows, maybe it's just going to slowly grind higher and higher, and sometimes that's the best way to go about it. But pointer being, in order for any of those scenarios to make sense, the price has got to continue to stay above that green line right there. As far as the areas of resistance now in the near term, first key level going to be right there at 465, and then the next main overall arching level is just simply the highs from back there on Thursday, which sit around that $5 mark. But all in all, very, very interesting setup to see how bad it got beat up on Thursday, but then now to see this little trend line starting to form the upwards direction, certainly worth keeping an eye on next week. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you liked what you saw here, if you can start to see the potential and realize the power of charts and want to learn more about them, how they should be used, how they should not be used, but how they're a great tool to build consistency, then definitely get signed up for the free class. Like I said, it'll be next week on Thursday, November 18th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely get signed up for it. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, if you would like for me to continue to make videos like this, then please help me out with some communication and just let me know via hitting that like button and leaving a basic comment, even if it's saying hi, a ticker symbol that you traded today, a number, a smiley face, but hitting the like button, leaving a basic comment goes a long way in communicating to me that you enjoy these videos. And as long as I know people are enjoying them, then I have no problem at all continuing to put in the time and effort to make them. So definitely hit that like button and leave a basic comment. And again, if you want to learn more about charts and how they can be used to build consistency as a trader, definitely get signed up for the class. Everybody take care and have a great weekend.